Last year, our community has been challenged by gun crimes. I recognize that people have concerns with gun violence, and I understand their frustration. I, too, am frustrated by this senseless violence. This is completely unacceptable to me, and it should be completely unacceptable for our community. Today, we're here to discuss the trends of gun violence and what has been done to address it, what's been done to address it in the future, and our chief will share some details here in a moment. But I want to first commend our men and women of the Davenport Police Department for their steadfast stance to protect our community. This year has stretched them in ways they likely never anticipated when they swore an oath to protect our community. And yet, they continue to work day in and day out to protect and serve with unmatched professionalism. Davenport is blessed to have these men and women in our community. So as mayor, I'm committed to ensuring that our police department has access to all the resources necessary to be able to do their jobs well. That's why I'm really excited today to announce that Davenport has been awarded a $700,000 grant through the Department of Justice's Strategies for Policing and Innovation Program. This grant will enable the Davenport Police Department to add a new crime analysis unit to more effectively and efficiently combat gun crimes in Davenport. So now I'll have Chief Sikorsky come up and share more details with you. Chief.
Good morning, everybody. As the police chief for the Davenport Police Department, I want to discuss the issue of gun crime in Davenport. This is a real issue that has been impacting our community for years, and a real issue that has been acutely more prevalent this year in 2020. 2 weekends ago, we had 2 homicides in one day. This is completely unacceptable and shows a blatant disregard for the sanctity of life in our community. I want to begin by sharing some statistics with you, and I want to just compare 2019 to our current year, 2020. So in our city, in Davenport, our confirmed shots fired incidents are up nearly 46%. Our non-fatal shootings are up 63%. There have been a total of 10 homicides this year. 7 of those have been gun-related homicides. And of those 10 homicides, charges have been filed in 8 of them. So far this year, the Davenport Police Department has seized 266 firearms. 72% of those were involved in criminal offenses. That's alarming. These acts of violence are not random, and the majority of them have been perpetrated by members of hybrid gangs and often use street justice as a way of dealing with issues. This violence is also not specific to Davenport. Take a look around the Quad Cities. Take a look around our state of Iowa, our state of Illinois. Take a look around the nation. Communities all over this nation are dealing with this same issue that we're dealing right here in our own community here in Davenport. A little information on our response, what we have done as a police department and as a city. The Davenport Police Department is committed to combating gun violence in our community. Over the past 18 months, the city has created a new gun investigation unit, which I introduced to you some time ago, to investigate gun crimes. In 2020, that gun investigation unit has served 85 search warrants that resulted in 34 recovered firearms and have assisted in 28 separate federal indictments with several more cases pending. Our city has purchased a NIBIN system, which is a link to which links shell casings to firearms and provides valuable leads to further gun investigations. Since becoming operationalized in 2018, we have introduced 597 shell casings Quad City wide. About 85 to 90% of those generate leads to investigations. And as all of you know, we have onboarded our Quad City law enforcement partners in our NIBIN system. DPD recently underwent a reorganization to allocate more officers and resources to our vital patrol operations and investigative units. This was done prioritizing gun violence. And I can't stress enough, our patrol operations, working with our investigative operations, and supported by all of our support services, how critical that is to addressing these issues in Davenport and in our Quad Cities. As a result of these proactive measures, 266 firearms have been seized and 269 charges for gun-related offenses have been filed so far in 2020. 269 charges for gun violence just this year in Davenport. The Davenport Police Department has and will continue to do everything we can within our control to ensure the community is safe. However, we can't do this alone. Please take that with you today. We can't do this alone. As you can see, DPD has been diligent with making arrests. Again, as an example, from our 10 homicides, 8 of them we have filed charges in. And yet, we still see gun crime increasing. Something further must be done. Partnerships are necessary to our success. This is a community issue. And the solution to rising gun violence needs to include more than just a police response. We can't arrest our way out of this. I think all of you have heard me say that before. The City of Davenport and the Davenport Police Department are actively working with our state and federal delegations on assistance that can be provided. This includes some things like properly funding social services in the state of Iowa. It also includes properly supporting and ensuring our courts have resources to deal appropriately with offenders, and allocating more federal law enforcement resources in our community to assist our officers with investigating gun crimes. In the spring, the city applied for a Strategies for Policing Innovations grant through the Department of Justice. Mayor Mattson talked about this a little bit in the introduction. Monday, we were notified that the City of Davenport will be granted almost $700,000 to assist in the creation of a new gun crime analysis division. Specifically, that is a crime analysis division. The division will add even more capacity to our department as we work to combat gun violence. We're actively working with our federal partners to see what other federal resources are available to assist our department and our community. We will leave no stone unturned as we work with our partners to ensure that the Davenport community has the proper resources to combat gun violence in our community. Here's my plea to our community. A call to action. We also need the help of our community in responding to gun violence. The violence in our community is continued by the victim, witness, perpetrator cycle, where the victims are usually uncooperative witnesses. Because victims are often uncooperative, it can be challenging to bring these crimes to justice. We rely heavily on video footage and forensic evidence from our private security cameras to provide evidence when charging suspects. The security cameras on your home or on your business may provide the footage our officers need to bring these perpetrators to justice. Today, we are launching a new security camera registration system. Video evidence from residential and business security cameras is an immense help to our detectives and often provides officers and investigators with critical information they need to file criminal charges. Residents may find more information about this new program and register their personal home or business cameras at www.davenportiowa.com/camera registration. And you have some of that information here. We want the community to know that we take the problem of gun crime seriously, and that the men and women of the Davenport Police Department will continue to relentlessly pursue the perpetrators of these acts of violence in our community. But we can't do this alone. We need our community's help. We need our community, state, and federal partners to also join us as we combat this culture of violence. So I'm going to turn it back over to the mayor. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Chief. I want to close, ladies and gentlemen, by again thanking the dedicated men and women of the Davenport Police Department for continuing to work diligently to keep Davenport safe. But again, as you heard Chief say over and over, and we continue to say, they can't do it alone, right? We need everybody to help. We need everybody to stand alongside them. We need everybody to work together to solve this gun crime problem. Our community is full of caring, compassionate, wonderful people. We saw that over the summers. Thousands peacefully protested against things that happened here and around the nation. I'm asking that those same caring and compassionate people take concerns for stuff that's happening here. Literally, sometimes in our front yards. As people voice their concerns about tragedies here and abroad or around the nation, we're also asking that you step up and be a part and help this community. How? You heard the chief mention. Registering your camera is an easy first step. But some of the other steps might be harder. Leave your comfort zone and step into the parts of our community that you might not have done that before. Get involved in the schools, even if it's not a school your kid or child goes to, but some that might be facing more challenges than others. Be a mentor through Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Volunteer with organizations like 180 and Bearing Witness. Every day, these organizations are stepping into parts of our community to try and help get it back together. They need your help. They need all of us to help. They need us to help the police department. They need us to help all of us. And we should want to do that. So you heard the $700,000 grant. We're committed to providing resources to our police department. We're, as you heard the chief, committed to putting more people and resources in places that we think and they think that we can use to combat this violence, and we will continue to do so. So with that, I thank you for being here. If you have any questions, the chief or I can take those.
Chief, how does the camera program work? I mean, other than registering, so I'm a homeowner, what does it allow you to do? What is it, what is the program for people?
Yeah, so thanks for asking that. So the question was, in case you all couldn't hear, was what really is the program? How does it operate? And it's really a very simple program for our community members to register for to the city if they have cameras. So if we have an incident that happens in a neighborhood, whether it's in a business district or a residential neighborhood, our investigators and our officers who are investigating that, they can go to that database and see these addresses we know have camera systems we can make contact with to see if we can get video evidence or forensic evidence from that. It'll expedite investigations. Typically what we do now is we go and do a visual and walk through the neighborhoods, which we will continue to do anyway. I think it's a great idea for us to be in the neighborhoods, assuring our community members that we are working on things that may have happened in their neighborhood. So really for us, it's a way to expedite investigations and for the community as well.
So it doesn't allow you access to anybody's camera, it just says that I have a camera, if an incident happened, you can contact me about possibly getting it. I mean, that's important for people to know.
Yep, absolutely. This isn't a way for Big Brother Paul to watch our neighborhoods through your cameras. Absolutely not. We won't have access to do that. We'll have a database that'll let me know that you have a camera at your business, and if we have something that happens around that, we'll be able to call you and say, hey, can we meet with you to check video between this time frame on this date? Yep.
The division, what kind of resources will be put into the new division with this new grant? Is it new officers coming in, or are people getting kind of shifted around?
Yeah, this is actually moving us into the future of policing. These will be 2 civilian positions, not sworn police officers, but honestly, they're going to be people that can do a heck of a lot more with data than me. And so we're really excited about this. This is something that we are going to recruit and specifically hire for this specific job, not try and turn somebody else into an expert in this.
And what will they be doing that's new for the department?
Yeah, the things that they're going to be doing is really making sense of all of the information that our officers and our community supply. So if you can think of the tens of thousands of police calls for service that we have, the tens of thousands of police reports we have in Davenport or in Scott County in a given year, the analysis, they'll really be able to help us make sense of that so we can better understand when are our crimes happening, where are they happening, what times are they happening, who are committing these crimes, those kinds of things. And then be able to get that information out in a timely way. I mean, timely meaning within days, finding trends sooner. So our officers that are out working on the street, they will know, our patrol officers will know, hey, there's this crime trend happening in this specific area of the city. We need to give that area more attention. It'll also benefit our investigators in a very similar way. Any other questions?
Percentage of like a 46% increase, maybe not for right now, but later today. Do you have hard numbers on those in terms of actual numbers?
You talked about the 46% increase in confirmed shots fired calls.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so as of this morning, the total is 240 in our city here in Davenport. That's not Quad City-wide.
Right.
The non-fatal shootings are up 63%, and that's 39 that we've had here in Davenport. And again, those are shootings where we actually have somebody that got hit by gunfire.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
you bet. Any other questions from anybody? Yeah, I got one more thing to say too, and then I know the mayor wants to close it out too. So the other thing I want to say is this. I just want to reiterate that we as a police department are committed to our city. Our elected officials, our administration is committed to safety in Davenport as well. And that's been illustrated ever since I've been police chief here. It's been set as an example, and it continues to this day. We have great support. The men and women of this police department are working their tails off for the community every single day, every single night, and we won't stop doing that. And we're committing everything we can, both operationally and administratively, to lowering violent crime here in Davenport. And we're going to be successful with that. The other thing, I want to make sure that the community knows that we can't do this without you. The mayor gave a couple examples of some community organizations or people that are really working hard to help with this trend of violence in our community. There's a lot of different people and organizations that are working within our community. I asked the community, what is your passion? How can you make a difference? Just as a very small example, I'm a big brother to a little guy who's a fifth grader. And with COVID, it's really hard right now to engage, right? But we had a phone call yesterday, and this is going on my third year with him. And quite honestly, we had an awesome phone call, and I can only hope and pray that my little piece in his life, means something to him later on and now as he's growing up and going through his adolescent life. His family is very supportive of the program, and he was just ecstatic that we could get back in touch and talk again. That's a very small example of where I am in this community thing, not just as a police chief, but as a community member, living here and trying to make a difference. But that being said, each and every one of us can make a difference. Each and every one of us have our own passions, have our own tools, things that we're really good at, and to open those up to try and make our community better is really what we need. And there's a lot of different examples that are happening out there. So I thank you all for helping us pass the word today. Yeah.
Why do you think the numbers are up, Chief? I mean, why?
Yeah, I think there's probably it'll be interesting 5 years down the road when people that are a lot smarter than I have a chance to analyze it and are be able to associate. It probably relates to these 5 things. I don't know if the pandemic has something to do with this social disorder, some of those feelings that are out there. I think there's just a combination of things that have kind of created this perfect storm, and it's not exclusively here in Davenport. It's, our whole Quad Cities is experiencing it, and our whole nation is. I'm in contact with a lot of police and prosecution leaders throughout this country, and everybody's experiencing this same phenomenon. And so I think there's a lot of different factors that contribute to it. But again, I think in those conversations, yes, it's important to have strong law enforcement and prosecution and city government focusing on that because we can get things done. But the other really important key that our community needs to understand is how important their role is in this as well. Mayor?
Thanks, Chief. So thanks, everybody, for coming. I just want to recognize a few people and thank them also. So we have with us Major Bladel, kind of our deputy chief here. Been wonderful in working with the community and, quite frankly, working with a lot of our federal and state partners to organize some of these things Chief was talking about. Sarah Ott in the back, who's our strategy officer, has done a wonderful job of trying to communicate and work with organizations to get the message out. And when we talk with our federal partners, whether it's our senators, officers, or et cetera, she's instrumental in helping do that. We have our city administrator, Ms. Spiegel, Corey Spiegel, back there, who puts all this kind of stuff we're talking about together, and with the police department, the city elected officials, and everybody else to tie it in, because we work together as a team, and she's instrumental in making sure that team is on the same path. We, of course, have our friends Alderman Dunn and Alderwoman McGinnis, who are instrumental in the council. The council, you heard myself say that I'm committed, but they are committed also, and I want you to understand that everyone's on the team here and committed to reducing this violence, and our job is to provide the resources to folks that do that, and we're committed to, we got the $700,000 grant for the analytics today, but we're going to keep working. We keep talking with our senators, our federal partners, whether it's agencies like the ATF or others, to see what we can do together to help with this, both at the state level and federal level. So every day we're committed to this, we're working hard, and I thank you for being with us, and I thank all of our folks to being on the same team to have the commitment and dedication to make Davenport a safe, stable, and welcoming community. Thank you all.